So I think you guys might be interested in this HTP-1 review that I'm doing. I've spent the past week
dude.
really testing out all kinds of stuff. Last few nights, I've been doing a complete manual calibration. So no Dirac, even though it has the full Dirac license. I just wanted to see what could be done with manual tuning. And one thing that I did last night that I think is interesting is timing. So normally, you kind of just do the measuring tape, acoustic measurement, some way of figuring out how much delay to add. But instead, I started playing 2 kilohertz test tones, like pulses, like doot, 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 right? And then playing it out of 2 adjacent speakers and trying to figure out exactly where they start to align and where the imaging is right in between both. Right? So, of course, you have to do level matching first. So I did that. But yeah, it's very interesting. You can actually really be able to, you can tell when something's in phase, like perfectly in phase, time aligned and in phase, not exactly the same, but in phase and time aligned. What you hear is everything just starts to snap to like one single location. And then if you're slightly off by just a millisecond, it starts to drift apart. The sound starts getting wider and wider and wider. And then actually it'll start to come back in and snap again, but you're at the wrong time. All right. So it's just interesting to see what's happening with that phase alignment and actually hearing the difference is kind of interesting. So I did that, and I did what I call a binaural level match, which is kind of interesting. So I did all this stuff, and man, freaking sounds awesome. Of course, I had to do magic beans. That's why I was testing some of this stuff to see if I could import into this, because we have a HTP-1 export option, and so that works. But this thing is awesome. This thing is so awesome. You don't really use the remote much. It's all app based. Most of the stuff you do is just from either your phone, a computer, an iPad, tablet, whatever you have, and you just log into the website or the IP address. And this Pink Soda guy made a custom GUI for this. That's pretty crazy, where he kind of organized things in a better way. Does that sound familiar? Pink Soda?
Pink Soda.
Yeah, that's. I don't hear you. I don't hear you, Aaron. You're muted. Okay. Anyway,
sorry, I was saying I think I had a friend request from somebody with like pop soda or something, soda pop or something.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't know who this person is. So I wonder if it's the same person. This
is the user interface for it. So once you get into it, it shows you like what kind of signal you're throwing into it, and then you got your volume control, which is cool because you can kind of control the volume. Like if my kids are, I don't know, watching something in the theater and it's like, hey, it's too loud, I just hop on here and then turn it down from anywhere in the house. But yeah,
that seemed pretty robust, the pictures and stuff you were sending,
dude. So
I think look at all that. Look at all that. You guys
okay, so I'm going to go into this in the review, but actually I'll probably go more into it right now than in the review because the review is getting long. But this signal generator is awesome and bad for us, Chana.
Oh.
Because it's so awesome, right? You see this full band pink noise, THX, like band limited noise. I can send these test tones from the HTP-1 to any channel that I have connected. Right. Similar to what our toolkit can do. Now, Hobie has said previously on our channel when we had him on, he said he prefers to, have some kind of test tone that's from the source because this, through that signal path, something might happen, right? So, but it's cool that you can do that, right? Yeah. All these different test tones, you can send it to different locations. And this particular one I thought was extremely, extremely useful. You see this left and right input a signal. Mm-hmm. I was like, what would I use that for? Right. And then I started reading up. You can import or you can use the inputs from REW. So I can play any test tones in REW and send those to any channel instead of like switching wires in the back.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I can send it to, the left. I can have it kind of like sending one signal to the left or let's say, left surround and then right surround, and play 2 test tones and see if it's imaging in the middle, right? Different things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
PEQs, look at all 16 bands per channel.
Woo, 16.
Right? Yeah, you can hook up to 5 subs if you have, extra outputs that you're not using. So that's cool. But like smart stuff, just like, oh, I want to clone this PEQ to another channel. Like that's just you can tell that these are some advanced people who know the things that you'd want to do, right?
Sure.
Like, so even if I go to like the calibration at the bottom, there's mute all channels, unmute all channels, and then invert mute on all channels, right? So you're like, at first I'm like, what? Isn't it kind of the same thing? Why would you need this extra one? No, because if I mute the sub, right, I can hit invert mute and then it mutes everything else except for the sub.
Right.
So that's useful when I'm testing. Now I can unmute all of them.
I gotta say that's pretty slick.
Loudness, they have these different loudness curves, vintage, right? So I know a lot of people like dynamic. I don't use this, but a lot of people like that. On the Denon and Marantz stuff, this does have these different loudness compensations. What else? Up mixer. This has this wide synth, so you can simulate, wides if your content doesn't have it. It just kind of takes the average of the left surround, the left speaker, mixes them, and then minus 3 dB. So, what else? But it's crazy. Look, you can customize what shows up on the main screen. This is interesting too. So, you remember on the Denon, we had issues where you'd get digital clipping if your sub wasn't set below like minus 6 dB for some content.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a real thing, right? If you have your sub in your Denon and Marantz set to 0, then it's possible that certain content could clip that signal. It needs to be like minus 6, something like that. But this has this VU monitoring where I can play test tones or different content, and then it'll show like, oh, okay, this is clipping, right? So I need to turn down that level, right?
Oh man.
So all these like advanced things that you can do, turn that off.
So I guess the question needs to be asked, Joe. Was it worth the wait?
Oh, dude, I've wanted this for a long time, and it actually exceeded a lot of my expectation. Now, Monolith's a channel sponsor, so of my channel.
Oh, Joe, you're chilling.
I
chilling like a villain.
I told her I'm chilling like a villain. Yeah, it's a joke. So I was telling Tim, like, all right, so what am I supposed to say? I can't gush over this thing. I can't say I like it. Like, what? How do I approach this now? But
it's tough, man.
I like it. So what can I do? But this is the one thing I was showing him is has this BEQ, bass EQ. So a lot of times the movies that go to home, the bass is cut off. Like they are not trying to blow up your sub. So like Oppenheimer already has a ton of bass, but like what is this? Sub 10 hertz? Like most people don't need that. But these crazy folks restore that back so that if you have subs capable, it'll play. And it shows you the scenes, like the timestamps of when when the bass is happening, right? And when you should hear the difference. So cool little heat map. But yeah, you can watch this one, Wonka, and it's all built in. I used to have to use a mini DSP, used to have an extra computer to be able to do all this from my phone. But I just go here, Wonka, okay, we're going to be watching this version. I can apply, which I don't want to do because I'm not watching the movie. But this movie cuts off bass starting at, what is this? About 30 hertz.
Oh.
They just really cut off the bass compared to what it originally was. Now, at first I was like, how do they know? How do they know whether that was there or not? And I still don't know exactly how they analyze it. But I can say that I watched Shang-Chi in the movie theater. I put my binaural mics on, listened. So I listened to it when I got back, and then I compared it to the home version that they have on Disney Plus. I'm like, they totally just cut off a bunch of bass. Like in the scenes where they're like throwing each other, it's like in the theater, right? At home, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. And then I applied base EQ, and then it restored all that back. So that's just an anecdotal thing, but it did seem to sound more like
like internally in the HTP-1.
Yeah, dude, I didn't have to do anything. I just turn it on, and now you can apply all this stuff. And what this does is it shows you. I don't know if you can see this. It shows you the PEQ settings. Look at this: 23 hertz plus about 6 dB of gain. Right, shows you the Q factor. And then it stacks it. Was that LS5? So it stacks 5 of those.
Wow.
So it's a lot of extra, but what it does is it ends up using a few bands of extra PEQ. So normally with subs, you may not be using 16 PEQ filters, so it'll use the extra ones and apply the it'll apply BEQ. So that's really cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know how I'm gonna explain all of that in a video, but you guys get more actually here than in my review, because I don't know how much people want to know. I don't know if they want a 30-minute review where I go into all the features. So, but yeah, there it is.
You're asking the wrong person, because Aaron already has like 20, 30, 40-minute long videos.
What's that? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Clearly you did it.
No, I didn't.
Aaron's got long ass videos.
Talk to my grandpa. I told him to give me some money out of the ATM.
Make sure to join us every Monday for our live stream at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/Daily HiFi.